Hello and welcome to another unboxing and model review with that Welsh nerd. And today we're looking at the Primaris Hellblasters. So the first thing we see on the box is the full 10-man squad, and I believe these are the heavy plasma incinerators, which are your more anti-vehicle options, with D3 shots and strength 8 boosting up to strength 9 and 2 damage at the potential of killing yourself. So similar to how the intercessors worked from yesterday's video, I believe these are put together the same way, and that is you can build it as one full 10-man squad, or you can split into two 5-man squads, which is what I think I'm going to do here, so I can put on the tabletop the full option of what I want. Again, it should come with 2 lots of sergeant parts, as well as full weapon options for the entire squad. Interestingly here, if we have a look very closely at this arm, there also seems to be the option for a bionic arm as well, for you Iron Hands players. So these guys, keeping with the tagline, are plasma-wielding marksmen. Similar to the Intercessor box, we've got different schemes for them and the ultramarine painting option. And then we have, showing off of the different weapons, we've got the assault plasma incinerator and the heavy plasma incinerator. But no standard plasma incinerator, which I'm finding a little bit strange here, and I've noticed that on the Intercessor box as well. There's very little showing off of, well, the standard weapon option, only the really esoteric ones. So this seems to be aimed at someone who's already got the Dark Imperium box set. You know what their standard weapons are, and you're looking at the special weapons, which I guess is neither good nor bad. It's just an interesting business practice instead. So let's jump straight into this. So again, 4 sprues. This is probably also going to be like the Intercessor one, with 2 duplicates. We've got the transfer sheet, which is identical to the Dark Imperium one. 10 32mm bases. Instructions, we'll have a look here. So unlike the Intercessor one, this actually has steps to follow, probably because of the cabling and the backpacks, etc. Interestingly here, the plasma incinerator is not painted, which is a little bit, It seems to be that we're more focusing on these two than included this option. So all of them have stage 1 in common. So that would be these parts, building these to build the bodies. So then we move on to the Hellblasters with heavy plasma incinerators with interchangeable parts. Basically you can swap, mix and match these as needed. Moving on. Yeah, so basically from the way it looks, you put the this is a little bit of a confusing instruction booklet because you haven't put the front of the weapon on and it's telling you to build the other ones. Basically, they're telling you build this first, then put the nozzles on. And here they just have a explanation showing it. And a finished one, and then they just break down how you build each one. Pointing options, etc. So this one is the Sergeant, actually, I take it back. Again, it's duplicated, so there should be enough parts to do all of them. The plasma incinerators are the same, with the interchangeable parts, showing you how to do each one. And then just a standard plasma incinerator, not the assault ones. Again, and then the rules, which are the full rules from the Codex, apart from the "And They Shall Know No Fear." It's a little bit smaller, but it does have the full options on there. There we go. And then just the different languages and the transfer sheet to the back. So let's have a look at these sprues. So these already look like they're going to be a little bit more complicated to put together than the Intercessors. So we've got 5 heads there. A sergeant one, because it's got a skull on it. Let's see if I can focus on that. And then 4 standard helmets, as well as unhelmeted heads. Plenty of plasma nozzles, shoulder pads, the backpacks, well, the addition to the backpack for the heavy plasma incinerator, different legs, and more of the shields, which again I think I'm going to put on the sergeants. Let's just check that the sprues are duplicated. So yeah, this is a duplicate sprue here. So we'll have a look at this sprue. This sprue is the gun arms, etc., and the bodies. Again, like the intercessors, the bodies are posed slightly. Not enough that they stop you from being able to do your own thing, but enough that they've kind of got they've got a dynamic look to them already, as well as some more helmets there. Head, sorry. They can take pistols on their waists and pointy fingers. Again, this is duplicated here, so there's no reason why you can't do 2 sergeants. So that is the unboxing part of the Hellblaster video. I will cut back once they are fully built. And here we have the fully built Primaris Hellblasters. There's been a bit of a delay on getting these built. There's been a lot going on recently that I won't go into here. But it's been over a fortnight since I unboxed these. I actually filmed the unboxing part of these at the same time as my intercessor unboxing. But largely the main reason why it's taken so long is the fact that this kit, I just didn't like it. I found it really unintuitive to use. There was a lot of issues I encountered while building this kit, and I will talk you through as I'm doing them. I am happy with how they turned out in the end, other than some things such as the gaps there, which is one of my major issues, especially on the heavy plasma incinerator. It was more of an issue here than it was with the assault ones, where basically, even with it filed down, this was a filed down surface, it still wouldn't sit in there at all. So that's going to have to be filled with some green stuff. There's also some pretty mean mold lines on the armor here, and that's going to have to be filed down. But I wanted this to be an honest first impressions once they're clipped out, put together before any work's done on them. I also decided to use some parts from the intercessor box. Not on this sergeant, however. I use the holding back arm here for the heavy plasma, if it focuses, for the heavy plasma sergeant. And I found it works really well. It's similar to the old Marine kits, where all the parts are really interchangeable. Again, as we see here with my heavy plasma incinerators, pretty much all of them have this gap in them. This is probably the best one, and still it's just bad. Yeah, I do like how they look in the end. The backpacks look really cool, as does the cabling, and they're done quite interestingly as well, where it's just a standard backpack with the cable power pack part clipped on, and it just works, as opposed to needing dedicated backpacks for each one. And it allows you to build the different squads within. Similar to the aggressors, building the cables, I recommend you do this side first, because this comes as the backpack. If it focuses, the backpack cable up to roughly halfway there. The cable is its own part that then glues into the gun. Personally, I recommend gluing the gun end in, gluing that on, then attaching these and lining them up, because they've got a little bit of give in them. rather than gluing the cable onto there and then onto the weapon. I also decided to build the Assault Plasma Incinerators. This Sergeant is purely made from the Hellblasters kit. Here. This is a surprisingly funky looking weapon. I like the scopes and the power pack at the bottom. It's interesting, and I do like how they've managed to make weapons look similar, yet distinctively different enough that you can tell them apart quite simply, especially when you look in comparison to the Intercessors amongst their Stalker and Standard Bolt rifles. Here we see there's still some gaps in the weapons, but nowhere near as bad as with the heavy ones, which is a shame. From building them, I'd say the best thing you can actually do to just try and deal with it is to build the ends first, because the ends here are their own separate part and they come in two pieces. Build those, set them aside, file them down as much as you possibly can. And do that as your first step when you're building the Marines. Then move on to the Marines, etc., and the weapons, and glue these in last. Once you file them down and they're completely set, it stops these splitting along their seam here. This one, not so much. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for all of them. I'm just looking for a bad one. Here, for example, that is split pretty nasty. Again, it's going to be a hell of a job of green stuff. And it's a shame that I found this kit really unintuitive, because I like Hellblasters. I want him more in my army. Another major issue I run into is when you're building the heavy plasma incinerators, it doesn't tell you what backpack attachment goes with what gun and what cable part. You need to find the specific ones that work. So, for example, with this Sergeant, I was basically poring over a picture that's posed like this and like this, trying to find the specific one that fits. The others, the standard poses they give you there, the ones you use, don't get them mixed up because they will never line up otherwise. But on the weapons like that, or if you do the same thing with the heavy plasma and have it this way, yeah, you can also, there's also enough weapon slots in there to have one each of these special ones if you decide to do 2 5-man squads. I just decided not to, so the Sergeant stood out a little bit more. I also noticed the design of the armour is ever so slightly different here than with standard Intercessors, in that it's more heavily greaved. Well, not greaved, but it's got this plating here, which isn't on the plastic Intercessors. But all in all, I'd say I'm actually unhappy with the kit, and this is unfortunately my first bad review of the Primaris forces. I like the models, don't get me wrong, it's just it was such an awkward build that I just didn't want to do them. And that's the first kit in a long time that's made me want to do, that's, well, done that. I really want to like them, and I'm probably going to pick up more in the future, just so I can bump up to full 10-man squads. But as for now, unfortunately, I must say, unless you really want them, I do not recommend. Now, I hope you... this might just be me complaining over something that I should have paid more attention to, but when these kind of kits are geared to new players, especially with Primaris Marines, you need to make them slightly simpler to build. Now, this may just be me complaining over something that doesn't need to be complained about, but I'm not happy with them. And, well, that's why you're watching my review, to get my thoughts, or at least that's what I hope you are anyway. I hope you liked this video, even if I didn't like the models. And if you did, please leave a like and leave a comment on your thoughts. Have you had issues with the Hellblasters like I have, or was I just simply really, really, really unlucky? Yeah, and subscribe to be notified of more content. I'll see you in the next one.